Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's live trading session. So it's been a difficult day for me today. As you will have noted from my market comments this morning, I expected the jobless claims numbers to come in worse than expected, which they did. There are two schools of thought when they, and this isn't normally the way, to be honest with you, but post the onset of the pandemic back in March and April time, the numbers have been particularly poor. The number of people seeking unemployment benefit has increased dramatically over that period to record levels, and yet we've seen some positive reactions from the stock market, and so the traditional movement, I suppose, after we see some bad numbers as we did today. So the estimated number, or the expected number, was an addition of 725,000 claims. The number that came in was 853,000, so about 128,000 more claims than was expected. So obviously a negative number, and the normal movement would clearly be to the downside, which we've seen. The Dow futures were holding fairly steady to slightly positive throughout the main part of the morning trading session, and then we've seen a sell-off since the number was released, and the sell-off has probably intensified since that number. So we've fallen from about 30,120 down to where we currently are, around 29,940, and the DAX, as you would expect, has followed suit during the course of this morning's session. So we're going to focus obviously on the US Open, so the opening bell in New York, and the Dow will be the market that we trade. So here we have a 1 minute chart. So this is the majority, well, it is all of today's movement. So we have, let me just put some crosshairs on here. So this is about 3 o'clock in the morning, so this would have been around the Japanese markets opening, and you can see that the trading has been reasonably orderly within a certain range for the majority of the day. And there's the high point that we reached, 30,148, fairly early this morning, and you can see since that time we've had some fairly tight trading in a range between 30,100 and 140, and then from the announcement of the number, or shortly before the announcement of the number, I think this was before the announcement of the number, we've seen one stage of a sell-off, a rally back into prior to the number being released, and then a sell-off from that particular point. And as I said, that's accelerated during the course of this morning's session as well. So the one indicator that I have up here to look at, so sorry, let's just go back a step. So we've traded down to a low of about 29,918, 920 today. That's the extent of the movement. So we're very much at the bottom end of the range that we've seen for today. We're currently trading around 29,947. But definitely towards the end of the range. So the thing, or the indicator, that I wanted to look at with you during the course of the next couple of minutes or so in determining the trade that we're going to take at the opening bell was, or is, the RSI. So if we go out to a daily chart, you can see that the RSI is up around 57, 58, so still in that overbought territory, but we are looking at a daily chart. That's not one that I would normally use. Something from an hour downwards, and you can see the change when you're looking at that hourly chart. You can see that we're entering that oversold, or approaching that oversold condition. So currently around 32, so the oversold condition coming in around 30. I'd like to see something below that level, but if we go back through the time frame, so the 30-minute, we are slightly below 30, have dipped below that today down to about 20, and then probably the last one that I would give a degree of credibility to, the 15-minute chart again, which has dipped and seen a rally back to 30. So for me, we are we are looking at conditions that are more oversold. I think that we're approaching the bottom of, or we are approaching the bottom of the range for what we've seen today. We're at 29,940, and we look to the open. I think one of the things that for me that changed during the pandemic is that often when sorry, there's a question there from the RSI range. So 70 and 30 are the typical numbers where you enter overbought and oversold. So 70 is overbought, 30 is oversold. Ideally, what I look for is somewhere around 80 to trade off the back of it, or 20 in relation to buying from an oversold condition. So just in relation to the way that that we've seen some of the reactions to the unemployment claims number during the pandemic, a worse number, whilst we've seen a pattern over the last few months where the number has been improving. Obviously the number has fallen away again today, but the one of the thoughts behind this is that it then adds pressure to the stimulus bill that hopefully is forthcoming. And as you'll see in my notes this morning, I do expect the stimulus bill to continue to move forward and eventually arrive upon us. When that happens, unfortunately, I can't tell you, but I do expect it to happen in the very near term. For that reason, with the market already trading fairly close to the low that we have today, typically around the open, I look to sell into it. I've mentioned many times over the past few weeks that the market tends to overreact, or the European market tends to overreact. So I'm looking to buy Dow futures. I'm going to do that now, just ahead of the open. So I bought Dow futures there at 29,953. And we'll look to sell those as and when, hopefully, that we move higher. So I'm going to put an immediate, if I can, I'll put an immediate TP in up around 29. So I bought 53. So I'll put a TP in at 988. And I just need to double check that's on the. Yeah, so we've got a TP in there around 25,988. So looking for about 35 pips on the open if we see some buying coming in there. Sorry, I have a few messages coming in. So really just looking to see now what happens. We've got about a minute and a half now to the opening bell, and we'll just see how that moves. So if you think back over the last few weeks and when we've done this, the traders tended to be from the sell side. Two reasons why I'm not following that approach today is that we are looking slightly oversold, so potentially there is a bounce in that regard. We are towards the bottom of the range that we've seen for today, so we tend not to move or extend the range during this particular period. And thirdly, during the European trading zone, we tend to overreact in one way or another to the opening level that we see in the Dow when the bell starts to ring. So 30 to 40 seconds to go before that opening bell, and we'll see what reaction the market has. I'll talk about something else in a few minutes, but we'll wait for the opening bell to go, and obviously the markets will start to move a bit quicker, jump around a little bit as soon as the bell goes, and we'll see how the direction moves from that point. So there's not been a great deal of movement in the last 15-20 seconds, so we're open now, and the open for the last few days has been far more orderly than we've seen over the last number of weeks. So the market is open. We're not fluctuating too wildly during this particular period. Always remember it is the first 5 or 6 minutes of trading that we're looking for, just to see how this movement opens. There's a bit of a pick up there. We're back up above 50, not moving particularly quick or heavily in one direction or the other, and this theme of the market being more orderly around the open, certainly this week appears to be continuing. So really what we're looking for now is how the information from the jobs number is being interpreted by the market, and whether we are seeing a belief that this puts more pressure on that stimulus bill being passed, whether we're going to see some messages from the government in relation to that, whether there is going to be a more or a meeting of the minds between the Democrats and the Republicans. So we're about 16 to 17 points higher at the moment. I'm just opening up my phone in case I look to take a profit on this. So it's really now whether we're gonna, and we're pushing back down again at the same time. All I have to do is to open my phone to take profit, and that's what happens. So we're back at the level that we entered, about 50, 53, 54. So maximum return that we've seen so far is about 20 pips. I posted my TP at 35. We're coming off a little bit now, so we're not seeing the movement that I would have wanted, or we've not seen the extent of the movement that I would have wanted. Don't forget that what we often see as we finish this first we're only 2 minutes into the trading session, but as we finish the first 5 or 6 minutes of trading, we do tend to see a bit of buying coming into the market and a bit of a movement to the upside. So I think there will be another opportunity, hopefully, to see our level approached. We're back at the entry point as I'm talking, looking for that little pop up. If we, potentially if we get up towards the 29,975 area, on the basis that the market isn't doing a great deal at this point, and trading in a very tight range, which is rare for what we see around the opening bell, that I might take profit if we move back up towards 29,975. So still here around the entry point. Later on today, I'll be sending a message across Telegram with an offer on it. If you ever think about that, as you'll know from everything that we do here at Bull and Bear, none of it is a particularly hard sell. Our intention is to return profitable numbers consistently. And whilst the numbers were very good at the beginning of the year and it's easy to hide behind them, the numbers haven't been particularly good in recent weeks. So we want to get back to a stage where we were, or we are, as profitable as we were at the beginning of this year. And there is an offer that's going to be coming your way across Telegram in the next hour or so. So market continues to do not a great deal. We've moved a little bit lower. We're at 29,920, and starting to see a bit of selling pressure coming in. So 4 or 5 minutes into the trading session so far, there's a bit of buying coming back in, a bit more movement than we've seen over the first couple of minutes of trading, but we're trying to hold that 29,900 line 4 minutes into the trading day, and unfortunately the market is moving a little bit away from us at this time. So whilst I think what I'll probably do is put a stop in just at just widen this market out, unfortunately, sorry. So there's a little bit more movement, but I'm just going to put the stop in there at 29,850, and hopefully we see some buyers come back into this market. And we'll need to, I'll need to monitor this over the next few minutes. As I said, an offer will be forthcoming over Telegram in the next hour or so. So please take a look at that. If you want to avail of it, get back to me and we can sort something out for you pretty much immediately from there. Thank you very much for joining me during this session. We are still fluctuating just above 29,900. The stop is in place. There was an opportunity to potentially take 20-25 pips out of the market as we rallied up to 29,970, but we're not quite at the we didn't quite reach the level that I'd put in from a TP perspective, and so I have an open position that I'll monitor going forward from here, about 50 points off the market at the moment, but we'll see how that develops, improving a little bit as we finish up here. But look out for messages on Telegram in relation to the trade from this point. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll be back tomorrow for